Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. My name is Evan McCauley, president of the club, and we are thrilled to have you joining us today. This meeting broadcast is available on HCTV as well as our Rotary of Hudson YouTube channel. Our club meets weekly at Laurel Lake for breakfast on Wednesday mornings from 7:15 to 8:30 a.m. Come out and join us for a meeting. We'd love to have you as a guest. To learn more about Rotary, our club, and the impact that we are having on the local community and world, please visit rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the meeting today and be the inspiration.
You tell me when. Ready? Good morning, Rotarians. I'm Tom Tobin, president of the club. I'm filling in for Ron Strobel as Sergeant of Arms today. Let's see. First of all, I'm trying to remember what the order of the... Rich, fill in, quick. There you are.
You know what, Tom? I think the Sergeant of Arms is supposed to go first, right?
He is, but I couldn't find you.
I was sitting right there?
I'm sorry.
All right. So,
You're half the man you used to be.
I'm short, Tom. Ooh, half the man.
This way.
Oh, yeah, see, there's the new Richie. All right. So, we have a very qualified individual. He's speaking of being short. To do our prayer this morning. So, he comes with some pretty credible background. So, Joe, if you'd like to come up.
Let me move this down where I can speak into it. I walked in, he was so excited to see me. Joe, you're here. I said, yeah, I'm here. Will you pray? Oh, that's why you're excited to see me. With that, let's pray together. Almighty God, you have brought us safely into this new day. Help us throughout it to be mindful of your presence, mindful of the needs of others, and always eager to do your will. Help us to be light in the midst of darkness and goodness to a world that needs it. For we ask these things in your name. Amen.
Who's doing the four-way test? No, who's doing it?
I'm doing it.
For those people that are new this morning, forgive us for our lack of flow. But anyway, I'm filling in for Lieutenant Dane Ron Strobel, who's in Minneapolis, I think, this week. So my name is Rich Warfield. Welcome to Rotary. For those people, this is your first time, and we thank you for coming today.
So if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, and fourth? Very good.
And now I'd like to welcome our president, Tom Tobin.
Secretary.
Well, you do that. You call the secretary up.
Nope.
All right. Oh, sing, song. Do you have a song for us? All right. You see how well we're doing this morning? Hopefully the candidates will do a little bit better. Chris Barker's going to lead us in song.
You guys are a tough act to follow. All right, Rotarians and guests, if you would please join me in singing "This Land Is Your Land." This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Okay, now Chris Barker with our secretary's report.
There we go. Good morning again, Rotarians and guests. All right, We have a long, long list of guests today. I'm sure it's the most we've ever had. It's so exciting to see so many new faces come through the door because I know, listening to the candidates is so very important, and we're all looking forward to hearing, what they have to say and the future they see for Hudson. So I apologize in advance for mispronouncing names because I promise you I will do that. So if you could please stand when I call your name. And again, I'm not going to be introducing the candidates, okay, because they're going to come up and speak. First, we have Steve Nietzsche. How do you? Nietzsche. All right. Steve. Nietzsche, thank you so much. And he read about this in the Hub. And then we have Jeff Keel. I know he's here to listen to one of the candidates today. Thank you so much. And then we have Dave and Renee Telling. And thank you for joining us. We have Mike Juppe. Thank you so much for joining us. Judy Cecilia. And then we have the Bigham family here today. We have Greta, George, and Fonce. Thank you for coming today to listen. And then we have Tracy Robb. Thank you. We have Chris Foster. Thank you. We have Bob Zupp, our fellow Rotarian Lynn's husband. Thank you for joining us. We have Todd Zedek.
Morning, Todd.
And then we have Nicole Davis's family, Matt and Mike.
Good morning, Matt and Mike.
And then we have former Mayor Bill Curran.
Good morning, Bill.
Erica, I can't even read my own writing. Thank you, Erica Faderman. Thank you so much. My friend Andrea Busey-Tikkanen, and Karen Farkas, and my guest Terry Bortnick. Everyone, thank you so much for the half an hour you gave me. Enjoy today's meeting.
Okay, great. I proclaim this meeting adjourned. No, I'm kidding. I know we're out of order this morning. Okay, a couple of items to mention this morning. First of all, we're in football season, so let me give the injury report, but it's really good stuff. We have Allison Feaster back for the first time in a number of months, showing that people can recover from appendicitis. So it's great to see you back, Allison. Thank you. Also, I wanted to mention I visited George Zupp over the weekend. It could be George Schmutz over the weekend. George, it was hit by an infection to his spine back in June, and ended up having some surgery. He's recovering from that. Although he's still in a wheelchair, he's making some tremendous progress, and he is planning to join us in a few weeks. He can even drive his own car now with a manual sort of a setup, and so he's doing well. By the way, I've offered any help of our club that he might need, but he sounds like he's doing pretty well. I was going to mention, first of all, let me have Donna Kastner, would you step up for a moment? I think you had an announcement to make.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. I have free tickets for a really cool event for anyone that wants them. Boomer Bash East, and it's up in Mayfield Village, and it is hosted by Northeast Ohio Boomer Magazine. Lots of fun activities and entertainment and food and what have you. It is on Wednesday, October 30th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 700 Beta in Mayfield Village. Tickets are usually $10, but you can get a free one from me, so let me know after this meeting if you're interested. Thanks.
Thanks, Donna. Jay Yard, could you come on up and tell us a little bit about Camp Ledgewood?
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. And could I take this opportunity to suggest the guests take a look at our clippings board to see the different activities that Rotary is involved in. I think you'll find it rather fascinating. How many have ever been to Camp Ledgewood? Oh, it's a beautiful site. It's an impressive facility with great trails and activities. The service learning students spent an overnight there, so I encountered them the next morning, and boy, were they full of energy, even with that sleepover, all 90 of them. It was very well organized. Crews were set up, to gather firewood, to wash windows, to clean out cabins, and then a separate group of people made up bags for needy people and decorated the bags. So that was very worthwhile. I really enjoyed myself. Just being around those kids is heartwarming, and I would suggest that if you can come out next year, you ought to. Thanks, Tom.
We'll make a point to announce it well next time. All right, thank you, Jay. Ed Sogan, could I have you step up and tell us a little bit about the program that we have with students at McDowell?
Third graders received notebooks from our Rotary Club in honor of Jimmy Sutpin, our favorite Rotarian, and we have several thank you notes. This one is quite elaborate in regards to that, and Jimmy kept journals for years and years and years and did a great job with that, and the Rotary is passing on that tradition to the third graders. We've done this for a number of years, and it's great to have that appreciated. Tom's going to mention once again that we have Santa on the Green coming up on December 3rd, and my most
December 7th.
7th.
A date?
4 days after the 3rd.
Yes.
Yes. And the most important announcement I have is that most of you follow sports and college football, but over the weekend, the Otters from Otterbein were defeated by the Heidelberg Student Princes by a score of 53-35. So, Bill Curran, sorry about that, buddy.
Sorry, not sorry. All right. So once again, Ed Sogan needs two, what would we call these? Lieutenant Elves, two Lieutenant Elves, kind of to manage the two sessions of Santa on the Green. So please see Ed about that. If he doesn't have anybody report, I'm coming to find you. All right. One other thing I was going to mention, I just wanted to get a show of hands here. The schools are asked, they're going through a strategic planning process right now. They are engaging Tom Speaks, who we all know Tom. He's spoken to our group before on a number of times. They've engaged Tom Speaks to conduct focus groups of different segments of the community. They would love to have Rotary be one of those. Right now, it looks like we may not have a time to do that within our meeting schedule over the next 2 months, which is when they'd like to accomplish this. I would just like to see if we would be willing to have a special meeting, whether it's a breakfast or a lunch or something like that, so we could conduct just that one piece of business. Could I see a show of hands? I mean, would people be willing to participate in that? Okay, I think we probably would have enough to make that happen then. Okay.
Tom, it could be an evening with pizza.
Or it could be an evening with pizza too. Yes. So, well,
We got Joe.
he's going to be leading well, that's a good question exactly. I know that it relates to the strategic plan, building the next strategic plan for the Hudson school system over the next, 3 to 5 years? 3 years. And, we want to make sure that we have information from different segments of the community. Parents, taxpayers who don't have students in the system, Rotarians. I'm trying to think of the other groups that it's going to be, students even, I think, are going to be part of this. So a broad segment of the community. All right. I think that's it. We have candidates today, and I'm going to ask George Snyder to come up and introduce them.
Thank you. Good morning, Rotarians. Welcome also to our many guests here this morning, and also to those of you who are watching this program on Hudson Community Television or on the Rotary of Hudson YouTube channel. For all 5 Wednesdays during October, we have been hearing from candidates running for local election, beginning with the city council races for all 4 wards and concluding next week with the race for mayor. Each of these races is contested, and in wards 1 and 3, the incumbent chose not to run again. Thus, no matter what the outcome, the face of local government will change and perhaps its direction as well. Our format for this morning and for all of the other sessions will be 5-minute presentations from each of the candidates here at the podium, followed by an open question and answer session with the candidates seated over here. They will have 90 seconds to respond to your questions. Fellow Rotarian Chris Barker, who's seated right up front, will act as our timekeeper. She will give warnings when 60 and 30 seconds are left, and also when time is up. I will act as moderator, and I request audience members to be respectful to all candidates. This morning, we will hear in alphabetical order from City Council candidates for Ward 4. Our first speaker is the incumbent Beth Bigham. In May 2016, she was appointed by City Council to fill the vacant Ward 4 seat, and in November 2017 was elected by her constituents for a full term. Beth holds MBA, Master of Science, and Bachelor of Science in Nursing degrees from Kent State and Clemson universities, along with a certificate in construction from Turner Construction Company. She is a board-certified nurse practitioner who has taught health policy at KSU and is the founder of a consulting firm that specializes in a very tiny niche, which I won't try to explain, relating how construction companies should build medical and hospital buildings. She and her husband, who is a part-time Kent State professor and also a businessman, have 2 children, both enrolled at Hudson Public Schools. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me now in welcoming Beth Bigham. I won't shake your hands if you have a glass of water.
Thanks so much. Here. Good morning. It's going to take a minute. Get comfortable. Good morning. I'm Councilwoman Beth Bigham. Thank you, Hudson Rotarians and guests, for your interest in this election. It's great to see how many people are passionate about the issues facing the city of Hudson. Thank you, Chris, for introducing my family. I just want to take a brief minute to thank them and honor my husband, who has been just a rock for me. We've been married for 21 years, and my own children, Fons and Greta, who as the speaker mentioned, are students at Hudson. They all have sacrificed much for the city of Hudson, time with their mother, time spent in meetings, and it does not go unnoticed, so thank you very much. I'm a wife, a mother, and a board-certified nurse practitioner. In addition to my advanced science degrees, I also hold an MBA and am a local business owner. Since being appointed to council in 2016 and overwhelmingly winning re-election 18 months later, I have served as a dedicated advocate of the Hudson residents. I have been a consistent voice on council for fiscal responsibility and a more transparent government. Right now, that means I am frequently in the minority when it comes to council votes. I've been told that I shouldn't ask so many questions, and if I do, I should ask them in private. Perhaps communicate by email, or have a private meeting with staff to get the answers. I believe in transparency. When my constituents send me questions, whether it be 1 hour before a meeting or 1 week before a meeting, I will ask their questions. Often, many others in the audience or watching the meeting from home will have similar questions. We can all learn something by sharing the questions and the answers. I'd like to share a specific example that best illustrates my approach to serving you and how I believe your local government should work. This example demonstrates that when council, staff, and constituents work together, great things can be accomplished. Have you ever heard of an ERP? Enterprise Resource Planning System? Anyone? Yeah. Okay. So some of you may ask, what's an ERP? Is it broadband? No, it is not. At its most basic level, ERP software integrates various business elements into a centralized system to assist with streamlining and automation. A year ago, Ordinance 18157 came before council. It proposed the purchase of an enterprise resource planning software package at a cost of $533,000. This item was already over budget. We had budgeted originally $400,000 for it, and had a troubling 14-year payback period. My constituents with experience in ERP had valid questions and concerns, so I formed an advisory group to learn more. The Ward 4 Citizen Advisory Group feedback group met. They gathered their concerns and questions and shared them with council and staff. Before the final vote was to occur, staff shared a new solution, just as effective, but for a much lower cost, $55,000, a mere 10% of the original cost. Bottom line, together, we saved Hudson taxpayers almost $500,000 without sacrificing on delivery. With potential savings in the balance, I promise to always seek public discussions that engage our citizens. Hudson has a highly educated and engaged citizenry. I appreciate their feedback, seek and value their opinions, and respect the right for public debate. The resulting savings may not always be $500,000, but it is valuable, and it's time well spent. In closing, Hudson is facing a critical election on November 5th. The decisions made by the new council will set the stage for Hudson's future. If you believe, as I do, that Hudson's priorities should reflect values such as fiscal restraint, a renewed focus on infrastructure, and a commitment to transparent and honest government, then the choice is clear. My name is Councilwoman Beth Bigham, and I hope I've earned your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second speaker, Nicole Davis, is a Hudson native, a licensed architect, and a small business owner. A 2007 graduate of Hudson High School, she holds both BFA and Master of Architecture degrees from the Savannah College of Art and Design. In addition to running her new business, NR Design, Nicole serves on the Hudson Architecture and Historic Board of Review, and also on a Young Professionals Advisory Board to the city. She is a 2018 graduate of Leadership Hudson. On the home front, she is married to the aquatic director for Hudson City Schools. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Nicole Davis.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians and guests. Thank you for this opportunity to come and speak with you this morning. My name is Nicole Davis, and as you know, I am running to be the City Council representative for Ward 4. I graduated from Hudson High School in 2007 and went on to study architecture at the Savannah College of Art and Design. I worked my way through undergraduate and graduate school as a full-ride scholarship athlete and graduated with my master's degree in 2013. I established my career as an architect in Atlanta, moved to Boston, before moving back to the Cleveland area and calling Hudson my home. I had a professor in graduate school who said, "We've poured all of this energy and all these resources into you, and you have this great education. Make sure you use these skills to give back to the community which you live." And that is what I am doing. I participated in Leadership Hudson class of 2018, where my interests in civic engagement were sparked. Thank you, Rotarians, for the support you showed for our cookbook project. It was such a great success. We were able to earn more than $25,000 to give back to charities that directly serve our community. I applied for and was happily appointed to the Architecture and Historic Board of Review a few months after graduating Leadership Hudson. The AHBR is a board that upholds the design code standards for the city, as well as assuring health, safety, and welfare for the citizens of Hudson. I am also part of the Next Gen Advisory Board, which is a new advisory board made up of young professionals who currently live in Hudson, who are civically engaged and excited and invested in Hudson's future. So let me tell you a story. Back in August of this year, I realized that my city councilwoman was running unopposed for the upcoming election. Having been very disappointed in the way she had been voting, not voting, and obstructing progress, I stepped up. Being a big fan of our democratic process, I felt it was my duty to offer another option for the citizens of Ward 4. With the backing of my peers, I gathered the signatures required to be on the November ballot. So why am I running for city council? I'm running because I care about this city. The city of Hudson is doing some amazing things. maintaining a 40% positive budget for the past few years, which is more than double that of what is considered a healthy municipality rainy day fund, which is typically around 15%. We are coming near the completion of the strategic plan set forth by Council in 2013, and it is time to write our next strategic plan to see where the citizens of Hudson want to go in the next phase of our history. However, there has been a lot of negative feelings surrounding the city's activities, and I feel through simple communication and the presentation of facts, we can right this wrong. The city is extremely transparent with all of their activities. I have had no problem finding any information about spending, planning, or decisions that were made while doing research for this election. The staff has been more than accommodating, even being willing to meet with me on weekends to accommodate my schedule so that I can gather the information I need to make sure that the citizens of Ward 4 are hearing all the facts. So the decision to be made in Ward 4 should be abundantly clear. Do you want a representative who uses social media as a weapon and incites divisiveness? Who has a backward perspective and always afraid of progress? Who has not represented our community's strategic vision? Or do you want a representative who is not afraid to move Hudson forward wisely? A leader who will leverage technology to improve our lives, our businesses, and our community. A candidate who will collaborate, communicate, and be fiscally accountable to you, the citizens. I'm excited to continue to serve this community as we move forward. We have some great opportunities coming with the future development of the YDC property, as well as many other things we haven't even imagined yet. Thank you.
Thanks to both of you. I'd ask you both to come up now and have a seat. And if somebody would remember to turn on the little switch on the microphone also, that would be great. If the red light's on, it's on. Okay, great. I would like to ask the first question this morning. And that is to address a question to both candidates. For many, many years, Hudson has had a city manager form of government, excuse me, supported by a nonpartisan city council. This election, the Summit County Republican Party has proposed a slate of candidates for all 4 wards and for mayor. My question is this: do you support the current form of government, and do you believe the Republican endorsements bring partisanship into the picture?
Sure. Thank you. I think that's a great question. I've heard it asked before. So do I believe in the current structure of government? Do I support it? Yes, I do. You know, I have been openly disappointed with our city manager and her performance. However, that doesn't mean we throw out the whole structure of our government. It's been working well for many years, and it's up to us as a city council to hold her accountable, or whoever holds that position. As far as partisanship, you know, I'm a fiscal conservative. We all may have our own party ideals, or certainly you don't check your ideology at the door whenever you walk in. But our charter states that we do not hold primary elections on the ballot. You don't have an R, a D, or a G, or an S by your name, and I support that. I'm willing to work with all. Thank you.
I agree as well. Our city charter was established back in 1995 when we combined the township and the village, and it's served us great for the past 2 decades. I think the best part of the way our city is set up with the city manager and the council is the citizens elect a representative to council to represent their interests, and then council is the one that is holding the city staff and the city manager accountable. The city manager goes out and finds the contracts that they need to fulfill certain things, road fixtures, signage, everything that could happen in a city. And council votes on which contract we choose to go with. I think that this setup allows us to have a lot of checks and balances. There are 7 voices that are looking at every contract and making decisions, and I think that that's a great way of doing it. I too think that there is no room for partisan politics in city of Hudson. We are a small but mighty city, and as council, I think we need to just be focusing on what is happening within our city and how we can continue moving ourselves forward.
Oh,
Yeah, James?
so pretty straightforward business question. My understanding from our presentation from the city manager that in fixing the streets, there's really two big ways you can go about it. One is you can do patch repair, which is less expensive, quick, people see a result right away. Or you could do a far more expensive, kind of deeper repair where I guess you take down the whole road and you rebuild it from the ground up. It's far more expensive and also means that you may have to wait a while before you repair it because you're trying to repair an entire street. So pretty straightforward. One is less expensive in any given year or any given and very quick. The other is more expensive, but theoretically over time would have much better streets, fewer repairs over the long run, and also you would be able to repair an entire road. So I'm not saying which is the better one, but I'm asking you how you would evaluate. I mean, literally this is something my understanding is being evaluated, how you look at that and how you would present that to the citizens. And I'll add another twist to it. For the position that you have, would you feel that someone taking the other position was doing it for nefarious reasons, or do you see that there's a benefit to both sides?
I'll start with that one. There's a benefit to both patching options. If we have a giant hole that appears overnight, it needs to be quickly filled in for the safety of our residents, especially our younger drivers who may not be as well versed in how to maneuver around some of these obstacles. You know, a penny saved is a penny earned, though. So if we can patch with longer lasting patches that may cost more right now, but will last us 4 times longer, in the long run, that is going to be the better investment. The way I understand the way we patch roads right now is the quick fix for easy numbers is, say, a $2 fix, and the longer fix is, say, more of a $5 to $7 fix, but lasts, 2 years versus 10 years. In my opinion, doing the 10-year fix is a much better investment with our money. Now, I might not have all the right answers. As an architect, I'm trained to work with people that are smarter than me in their specific field, and I would definitely listen to any of the traffic engineers or road engineers that would know exactly the products and the lifespan and the quality that we would be investing in, and listen to them for their expert opinion.
So I'll just answer that second part of your question first, the nefarious part. No, I'm not sure what that means, but no, I don't think that anyone's decision about road repairs would have anything nefarious about it. But
So, sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
That. Yeah, I'll let you,
Okay.
give her the full time because I'm interrupting. But just to explain that,
Okay.
it just seems on decisions across the city, phase 2, broadband, and so forth, that there's been a characterization of those who are on the other side of the issue as being somehow doing it not for reasons that are beneficial to the city. So that was the reason for it. Sorry to interrupt,
Okay.
but I just wanted to explain
Okay,
what that
thank
meant.
you. So I think I answered that second part of the question. As far as road repairs go, yes, there are programs called, there's a patch and seal program. That's an ongoing program throughout the year. If someone sees a pothole, it gets fixed as soon as they can get out there to patch it. We are working on doing a better job of that, using different materials, so it's not sort of the rock kind of material. It's a little more expensive, something that we're looking at, but that's the everyday kind of stuff that we're going to do. The other thing that you mentioned, sort of building a road up and starting brand new, that's not commonly done. What's commonly done as far as maintenance is repaving. We also replace part of the concrete overlays, sometimes in sections. So, I think all of them are needed. They're just different stages of disrepair. So you apply the method that's needed at the time. Does that answer your question?
But it was more in terms of, would you delay repairs on a part of the road in order to do the full repair later on, which may also be
Sure. I will say that As a city council person, I decide policy. I do not make operational decisions on which road gets repaired or how they decide to number them or do them. They have a performance criteria that they look at, an objective formula. So I leave those kind of decisions to the professionals who are trained to do those things. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. John Adams?
Okay, so Beth, in the theme of transparency, I learned the other day of a special council meeting, which is very uncommon for our council to have a special council meeting conveniently right before the election to make some very significant decisions, including a pay raise for our city manager that is not performing to your standard, as well as, I believe the residents said no to the last phase 2 pretty clearly. Yet, as I understand it, there's a contract that's going to be signed with Testa at this special meeting. Can you talk a little bit about that and add some transparency to that for the group?
Yeah, so I have not been involved in any of those discussions. I did receive information on a 60-day tracker that our city manager and staff use to schedule meetings and sort of forecast when meetings need to be placed. Typically, we have 2 workshops a month and 2 formal meetings. In this particular case, it looks like another formal meeting was added during a workshop. I got a message from the city manager yesterday, and she said, maybe that's not going to happen now. I think there's been some public outcry about it, so we'll have to wait and see, but a good question.
Maybe a little daylight?
I need some more information, so, yeah, thanks.
And then the second question, I just wanted to ask you, with you running for office, I would just ask, I mean, to the extent of the do's and don'ts, things that can and can't be done, with your husband's behavior with city property and the schools, was he coached that he couldn't do that? Or, I mean, was it just an innocent mistake that he made? I'd love for you to defend that. Yes.
Yeah, I think first, let's do
Sure.
these questions one at a time.
Okay.
You want to respond to the first question?
The situation with my husband in the schools is still being looked at from the school's perspective and has not been finalized, so I am not at liberty to comment. But thank you.
Do you want to talk about the special meeting or anything to say on that?
Not being a current council member, if that is the way that they choose to proceed, okay.
Phil, can you pass the microphone over here? Okay.
So, I asked this question 2 weeks ago for the candidates, but I was wondering if you two think that there's an issue regarding the treatment of minorities in Hudson, and how would you pose that to be dealt with?
That's a really tough one to tackle. Hudson we're a very lucky community. We have a tremendous amount of resources, a tremendous amount of education in this city. But if you look around at Hudson, we're kind of monotone. A lot of us are one color, one income level, and I don't know how we could move forward to help diversify in Hudson. It is definitely an issue. I think we've all been made very aware of that recently with what's happened at the high school. It's extremely unfortunate. I think a lot of this is going to need to be fixed in the home first. Every family taking it upon themselves to share the importance of respecting everyone around you, regardless of the differences you may or may not have. But I think moving forward, yeah, if we can educate our students and our adults and every citizen of Hudson how important it is to have that diversity, I think it can only help us move forward as a community.
I mean, just straight off the bat, I would, condemn any kind of racism. I think when it comes down to it, this is a human heart issue, and it's one that is not easily solved. We are a fallen people, and it takes compassion. It takes loving other people. It takes being exposed to other kinds of people, whether they look different, whether they're a different socioeconomic background, whatever it may be, knowing that they're human, we all bleed red, we're part of the human race, and I think, you know, like Nicole said, it's a lot is established at home, and that's important as a parent. You know, I consider that my most important job, and my heart breaks for the people that have experienced some of these racist comments and behavior at the school, but I do understand that the school is dealing with it, and it's a matter that they're taking care of, so thanks.
Thank you, Phil.
This question probably is more directed to Beth.
Could you?
This question is probably more directed to you, Beth, than it is to Carol. My concern is, Carol, probably the wrong name.
My mom's name is Carol. I'm very much alike, so
Okay.
I understand the confusion.
All right. What I'd like to know is the streets in Hudson are terrible. And what has been the thinking of the council over the years about trying to do something about it? Because it seems to me, everywhere I go, my car is getting in worse shape because of all the potholes and bumps and so forth. Why hasn't this been attacked along the way rather than leaving it go until things are kind of what I would consider, in some situations, desperate?
Sure, I think that's a legitimate question. It's one that I hear often from people when I knock on their doors. You know, I've knocked on over 2,500 doors in Hudson, and that's probably the most consistent complaint that I hear. You know, you probably don't think of me much as a city apologist, but I will tell you we've been putting more money towards the roads every year, but it's just not enough. It's a case of misplaced priorities. You know, we've placed around $4 million in velocity broadband, and we've failed to maintain our roads. So one of the options that we're looking at now is going out for long-term debt to maintain our roads. Not to build a new road, not a capital expense. I'm talking about just to repave a road. So to me, that's a severe state of misplaced priorities, and we need to rectify that.
Nicole, do you care to respond to that as well?
I met with Tom Sheridan a couple of weekends ago to try and understand a lot of the infrastructure and how things are managed in the city. He shared with me that our roads are tested based off of a state ranking system on the quality and their lifespan left. On average in Hudson, and I know that we do have some terrible roads right now, Middleton is a perfect example. On average, our roads actually rank very high compared to our neighboring cities. The rough numbers he gave me were, you know, we're 71, 72 out of 100, and Stowe is more like 64. Yes, there are some long-term plans I've heard of to kind of catch us back up, try to get all of our roads back up to that higher level. There is a bond that sounds like is going to come out to try and speed that process up so that we can get everything back up to speed and then maintain, which is a lot easier than catching up. So as far as I understand it, the city has looked at this and has come up with some ways to get us back at a higher level and get our roads all back on a better lifespan of maintenance plans.
George, I have just one quick question. Why the misplaced priorities? Well, you're talking about misplaced priorities,
Sure.
doing other things than the roads. Other things were more important than the roads.
Yes.
What was the thinking about that?
Well, I don't think it was the correct thinking, but that's my opinion, and I've been in a voting minority. So I really, you know, I can't explain it, and I don't think it's my position to do that. You know, my philosophy is that we need to take care of first things first. We need to take care of our basic maintenance, infrastructure needs, safety services. Those are the things that we fund first, the things that only a municipal government can do. We have other places where we can get fast internet or a number of other items. We're the only ones who pave our roads. We're the only ones who will put a sidewalk in. And I think that's important that we take care of the basics first. We need to excel in those things. Once we excel in those things, if we have money left to burn, and we don't want to do a tax reduction on our, income tax reduction or some other reduction, property tax reduction, then perhaps we move on to other things outside of the basic wheelhouse of a city government and what a city government should do. And I think that's just basically, a philosophy of mine of more limited government. That's just the way I think. And certainly, there are other thoughts out there on that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Not being a current member of City Council, I'm just going to say how I think I understand that the city runs and appropriates funds. It is my understanding that we have a road fund, and there is a certain amount of taxpayer money that we put into that road fund each year to maintain and repave our roads. All the other funds, except for the general fund, funds cannot be taken out of certain funds and put towards other items. And a lot of what the spending, especially with the controversial Pasco building, a lot of that money was our 40% overage that we were then reinvesting in ourselves. And I think if we need to look at the budget again, then we need to look at the budget again. But as far as I understand it, over the past number of years, that is how money has been allocated to different items within the city.
Thank you. Thank you.
For a question, the woman there in the middle.
It's a very sensitive point.
I guess it is. This is from Ms. Bigham. I was at the League of Women Voters event last night where both you and Ms. Davis were asked about contributions from outside political parties.
Sure.
You both denied having accepted any, but it is my understanding that an Ohio Republican U.S. Congressman has been aiding your candidacy. So are Mr. Cunnington's requests for information on Nicole Davis not Republican dollars, or are they instead taxpayer dollars?
I think that you would have to talk to Mr. Cunnington about whatever Mr. Cunnington's business is. As far as aiding my campaign, I'm not sure what the question is because I don't work with Mr. Cunnington he's not a professional to me. I have a lot of volunteers that have helped me, several in this room today. They all have outside jobs, 9-to-5 jobs, and I certainly am not taking contributions from them, whether they're bankers or anything else. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
In the back there.
Good morning. My name is Julia Mason. I live in Ward Ford in Hudson Springs Park, or Hudson Park Estates. Beth, I'm also an MBA nurse leader in Northeast Ohio, and so I want to first of all thank both of you for running. My question is related to, I also have kids. We used to live in Middleburg Heights. We moved here 10 years ago, 1 for the schools, number 1, 2 for the community, and also 3 because my son developed asthma because we're directly related to the pollution of the airport. And I know you voted no against the solar plan that was here a couple years ago, and I'd like you to address that. And then for Nicole to respond, or either one of you, what could that look like in the future in partnerships with business, that could be a collaborative approach that we support solar funds, and just understanding why you voted no.
Sure. So that was probably a year and a half ago. I'll do my best to remember, but my recollection is that it was a bad plan. So I'm not against solar. I'm not against renewable energies. As a matter of fact, our energy portfolio has approximately 20% of our energy portfolio is through renewable energies. So if the right solar plan came along that was responsible, transparent, I would do it. So I'm open to those ideas. Thanks.
Sustainability is definitely one of my passions. Actually, I have a minor's degree in sustainable materials. I think expanding our portfolio to include more sustainable, renewable energies is something that we really need to be focusing on. Right now, our energy portfolio, though it may have 20% in renewable energies, it has 41% in coal plant energies. And I think this is something that we need to find a way out of. I'm young, I do not have children yet, but I am scared for my children. Our world is not getting cleaner. We're using all of our resources quickly, and we need to start finding ways to lessen our impact on our earth because we only get one of them. We have some great opportunities for the YDC property. There's a lot of land out there. We can definitely look at different opportunities. Geothermal, I know we've talked to Western Reserve about that. Solar, wind, there's lots of options out there, and the industry for renewable energies is only getting better. So I think moving forward, we need to just kind of look and see what could work for Hudson and where we can partner with new businesses that may be coming in to encourage the use of these renewable energies.
Thank you. Is there one last question? And we only have time for one more, and I'm going to go over there to you.
Thank you. I'm Tracy Robb. I live in Layton Estates. I've been in Hudson for 13 years. So this question is for both of you. If it is determined that increasing debt is not desirable, what operating expense could be reduced to avoid having to increase taxes?
I've spoken with the finance department at the City of Hudson right now, and as of August, we have a 13% increase in income tax revenue, which is taxes taken out of people that work in Hudson. So not property taxes, but income taxes. We operate at a positive budget and have for a number of years. Hudson is very cautious and conscious of every dollar that they spend. I'm not trying to dodge your question, I just am having a hard time seeing us getting to a point where we don't have a healthy rainy day fund to bridge a gap between, say, another recession or something of that nature. I feel that Hudson is also full of very educated people, and if we did get to that situation, that we could pull together people that understand that business and finance and come up with a great solution that wouldn't necessarily be jumping to higher taxes as our first option.
Thanks. So I agree. We've had some increased revenue, and we're thankful for that. One of the things that you can always look at is cutting your costs. So would I say that we're fantastic with evaluating our programs and our spending patterns? Absolutely not. I just gave you an example where the city staff came out and said, I want to spend $533,000 on an ERP system. And they were ready to do it. And I started asking questions, and they didn't like those questions. But I got community members involved. And once community members got involved, that's when they decided after several weeks that to go back to their vendor and find another solution for 10% of the original cost. So without people asking questions, we will make poor spending choices. It is up to us to ask the hard questions and make sure that we are being accountable for your tax dollars. So there are always opportunities, to cut costs. I mean, I would probably say we could look at most of our line item budgets, taking away like safety forces and things like that, and probably make a 10% cut and have probably no negatives and have some cash reserve. We're at 32% right now, so not 40, and we've got nearly a 12% debt ratio. That means when you look at our debt, what our debt is costing us compared to what revenue we're bringing in, we're at a cautionary mark right now, and we're going to be that way until about 2024 because of the debt we've taken on. It's a concern. Thanks.
I would like to thank both Beth Bigham and Nicole Davis for being here today. I'd like to thank our timekeeper, Chris Barker. I'd like to thank all of you for your participation. Be sure to vote on November the 5th. Next week, we will conclude our series of presentations with the candidates for mayor, David Basil and Craig Schubert. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, and thank you, guests, for the good questions you asked today. Hey, one thing I would be remiss if I didn't mention. Tomorrow is World Polio Day. Progress continues to be made since Rotary made a commitment to ending polio in 1988. Cases have dropped by 99.9%. We've saved over 13 million children from paralysis. Tomorrow, the Global Commission for the Certification of Portfolio Eradication is expected to declare poliovirus type 3 as being globally eradicated. And that's only one of I think there's 3 types of polio. I'm not an epidemiologist, but that's what my layman's understanding is. However, the mission is not done. There are still new cases of other types being reported in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Let me offer this one suggestion for Rotarians who want to make a difference and everyone else as well. Give to the Rotary International Foundation. Earmark the money for portfolio eradication. I'll point out, and Joe will support me in this, will get you points toward becoming a Paul Harris Fellow, so there's a secondary benefit to this as well. I've done so, and I encourage you all to do so too. Second of all, Rotabuck. All right, could I ask, Nicole, would you pick a ticket, please? I promise. If you pick the wrong one, nobody's going to mind. No pressure. No pressure. All right, the last 4 digits are 2232. Then the jackpot is $15. $15. All right. Lynn, come on up. All right. Please certify there is a black marble in there.
There is.
All right. Please select. For what did I say the jackpot was? Okay. Jackpot is $459. Oh, I'm sorry, Lynn. All right. Try again next week. All right. All right. Next week's program. Oh, here's today's. Here's today's. $15. I always try to keep it. Next week, mayoral candidates David Basil and Craig Schubert. Did I say that right? Bring guests, Rotarians. Bring guests, okay? Quote of the week, portfolio is, this is from Bill Gates, our partner in eradicating polio. Polio is pretty special because once you get an eradication, you no longer have to spend money on it. It's just there as a gift for the rest of time. So as we leave this morning, Rotarians, let's all go out there and show the world that we're proud to be Rotarians. I declare this meeting adjourned.